Within media, an extremely common hero archetype is the coming-of-age hero. These characters are heroes that grow psychologically and morally through their journey to adulthood. These characters are so prevalent because they're relatable to pretty much everybody. Almost everybody grows up and changes physically and mentally. In the classic war novel All Quiet on the Western Front, the main character is the perfect example of the coming-of-age hero. But as you begin to read further and further into the novel, the more you can see connections to other similar heroes. Two of my favorites that come to mind are Ness from the Super Nintendo RPG Earthbound and Poon Poon from the manga Oyasumi Poon Poon. Now, these two are not even closely related at all, but video games and manga are able to tell just as meaningful a story, just in a different light. The major threads that tie these three coming-of-age heroes together is their relationship with their mothers and putting these young people into adult situations. Earthbound is a game many may or may not be familiar with. Earthbound is a JRPG for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, starring Ness, a young boy with psychic powers. Ness goes through many trials and tribulations that test his resolve as he grows throughout his journey. With the help of his friends, he sets out to defeat the alien menace Gygus to prevent a dastardly future. Now, I know that sounds very peculiar, and it is. This game is very strange, and it just gets weirder from here on out. For example, in the very beginning, Ness and his friend Pokey investigate a meteor that crashes out on the nearby hill and finds a bee from the future named Buzz Buzz, and he sends Ness out on a journey to collect 8 melodies from 8 different locations around the world and defeat Gygus. That's a lot for such a young boy to handle. They say he's about 13 years old, and he already has the fate of the entire world in his hands. This is comparable to Paul from All Quiet on the Western Front, who was pushed into the horrors of the First World War at such a young age. At least he doesn't have to go it alone. Ness meets Paula, Jeff, and the unfortunately named Pooh along the way. Together, the four visit the big city, travel the world, pilot a ship, fight aliens, and save the world together. All things that are very grown up. Ness faces many fearsome foes on his journey, and sometimes in battle the player may be met with this message. This causes Ness to not be able to act in battle, wasting valuable turns. The only way for you to get rid of this homesickness is to either call your mom or go home and visit her. Ness's mom is so important to him that he completely breaks down in battle and will not act, although he's at risk of getting seriously hurt. The mechanic hinders the player, but provides character to our mute protagonist. Furthermore, each time Ness gathers a melody, he will reminisce about his childhood. The third memory has Ness recalling his mother telling him to be a thoughtful, strong boy. It should also be noted that the Earthbound is a part of a trilogy in Japan called the Mother series. Earthbound is called Mother 2. Mother is right in the title. The game makes it evident from the get-go that Ness's mother is an important, nourishing figure in Ness's life. Much like Paul's mother, who cares for her son and does everything she can to help him. She even powers through the pain of cancer to provide food for her son. At the very end of the game, the quartet has to go to another dimension to fight Gygus. They put their souls into 4 robots and use a machine that transports them to another dimension in which Gygus resides. They then fight Ness's friend, who turns out to be Gygus' right-hand man. And then after that, you are greeted with Gygus' true form. This nightmarish figure is the final boss. Through Ness's travels, Ness hears of Gygus a lot, and each time people describe him as this untangible figure, some being that you literally cannot grasp. The creator of the Mother series, Shigesato Itoi, has described Gygus in an interview as a personification of childhood fears. Ness is literally overcoming his childhood fears by defeating Gygus. This is comparable to Paul, who becomes hardened to the horrors of war and faces the dangers of the front head-on. The final hero I will speak of today is one I'm almost positive many will not have heard of. Poon Poon from Oyasumi Poon Poon. Oyasumi Poon Poon, which I will call by its localized name, Goodnight Poon Poon, is a Japanese manga written by Inio Asano. The story follows the titular Poon Poon, a boy depicted as a bird, as his turbulent life unfolds before him. The way the volumes are structured in America is pretty neat. Instead of 1 volume per book, it's often multiple, following certain facets of Poon Poon's life. For example, the first omnibus follows Poon Poon through grade school. Omnibus 2 is middle school, and the third is high school, and so on. I'll mainly focus on the first 3 omnibuses. Please note, Japanese manga is read from right to left. Keep this in mind as the scans are shown. In only the second chapter, Poon Poon's troubled family life is displayed when he wakes up to his mother having been assaulted by his father. Shortly after his mother gets out of the hospital, she divorces his father. For such a young child, situations as drastic as domestic violence and divorce is a lot to take in, but it can be compared to the stress put upon Ness for saving the world and Paul fighting on the front. But unlike the other characters who cherish their mothers, Poon Poon and his mother really don't care much for each other. It's even later revealed that his father attacked his mother because she threatened to kill Poon Poon then commit suicide. As he begins to grow up, there is a very noticeable shift within Poon Poon himself. He becomes much less sociable and only focuses on his studies. In that time, his mother turns to alcohol and is depicted as drunk most of the time. Poon Poon and his mother begin to drift even further away than they already have, and at the end of the third volume, Poon Poon's mother is diagnosed with cancer, just like Paul's mother in All Quiet. Now, cancer is a very serious ailment, and it is tough for any family to handle, especially for a young man just like Poon Poon. Poon Poon's mother finally admits that she loves Poon Poon deep down on her deathbed for the first time in the entire series. This is affirmed particularly because it's shown before that the letters Poon Poon is receiving from his absent father really aren't from his father at all. They are just his mother writing as if she were his father. She cared about Poon Poon so much to write fake letters to make her son feel better. Poon Poon's troubled upbringing can possibly explain many issues Poon Poon runs into as he grows older, such as depression. He grew up without a role model for a good chunk of his upbringing, and the only other person he really has to look up to is his uncle Yuichi, who is in some aspects no better than his mother. I highly recommend people read Goodnight Poon Poon. Many will be turned off by its mature nature, foreign concepts, and the fact that it's read from right to left, but I assure you, it's way worth it. It wasn't until I pretty much finished writing this script that I realized that these characters are some of the most idiosyncratic works of their respective mediums. All Quiet is renowned for being one of the first novels to portray war as depressing and deadly rather than heroic. Earthbound is renowned for its immense charm and wacky world, and Poon Poon is renowned for its mature story, its interesting main character, and incredible yet experimental art design. These are all one-of-a-kind works, and shining examples of the coming-of-age hero. I myself am a young man of only 15 years old. I'm about as old as these characters. I'm traveling the same road as Paul, Ness, and Poon Poon. I really resonate with some of these characters. In fact, I distinctly remember when I first played Earthbound, when you get to drive this one band's tour bus, I said to myself, I can't wait to drive a car. And here I am now, 4 years later, with my learner's permit. The biggest takeaway here is that you're only a kid for so long. I'm going to start working and looking at colleges soon. I'm almost an adult, and looking back on everything, all the friends I've made, and all the things I've done, I've made the most of it.